The Houston Texans finished the 2025 season 12-5, made it to the second round, and got embarrassed by CJ Stroud's horrific performance. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a mock-off season for the Houston Texans. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new and do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. So the way the video is going to work is we're going to begin by talking about what happened in 2025. Then we're going to look at some team needs, what the team can do in terms of their salary cap situation. We'll go through my free agency plan, and then we'll do a 3-round mock draft at the end of the video. With that said, let's talk about the 2025 season. So for many Houston Texans fans, this is going to be a year where you think about the what if within this New England Patriots game, but I hope that we do appreciate what actually led up to this moment because it was a roller coaster of a season. At week number 9, you had that big loss to Denver Broncos. You're 3-5 on the season. CJ Stroud's out, and it's like, oh man, the season is over with. Then you rattle off a win, and so on and so forth to finish the year 12-5. A 9-game winning streak heading into the playoffs. If you include the win versus Pittsburgh, a 10-game win streak. And there's a lot of good that came from this win streak. We saw guys like Woody Marks play great. The defense was unbelievable the entire season. We even got some shine of Jawar Jordan. Nico Collins was great. We saw Hutch. We saw Dalton Schultz. CJ Stroud had some good moments there as well. But then we get into the postseason, and sure, you dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-6, but if you actually sat down and watched the game, it was an ugly performance from CJ Stroud and that Texans offense. It took a while to get going, and then the game versus the New England Patriots in the divisional round, everything kind of got exposed. CJ Stroud played horribly, multiple turnovers. The defense did everything in their power to keep them in the game. Without Nico Collins, that offense for the Texans just looked completely inept. In addition to that, I did hear some talk about the fact that CJ Stroud had this concussion injury that limited him as a runner, which, maybe is more of a confidence issue. But regardless of a confidence issue, regardless of some injuries sustained, regardless of the offensive line play, which was not great during the postseason and was not great for most of the year, CJ has to play better. He simply put has to play better, and that's going to be the big conversation through the offseason. I can only do so much in the mock offseason. The Texans themselves can only do so much to improve this roster. It all comes down to CJ Stroud. This is a make or break year for them. We'll talk about whether or not we'll extend him here in a second. We'll go into a deeper conversation, but that was the 2025 season. With that said, let us go ahead and talk about some team needs because this team doesn't really have a ton of them. They're one of the better rosters out there from a defensive standpoint. They don't have too many flaws. And on the offensive side, really, it's just one big issue. So with that said, their biggest needs this offseason, they have to improve that offensive line. It isn't that offensive line has no pieces to it. Like Ariante Ursary stepped in at left tackle, showed a lot of good stuff out there. We obviously want him to be the starter next year, but you're not 100% sold on him there at left tackle. You have Titus Howard, who's pretty good. If you bring back either Ingram or Brown or both, that's your right side pretty set. We have some needs there, though. I think we could use an upgrade at center. Ingram and Brown, I would imagine you're going to bring at least one of those guys back. You might need to replace that other guy. And then again, with Ursary, I think he's fine at left tackle, but I wouldn't mind bringing in some competition and maybe kicking Ursary inside to play guard or something like that. So the offensive line, simply put, has to be better. It has to be stronger. They have to be better at running the football, powerful guys. That's kind of what I'm looking for this team. I want dudes that can set the tone on the line of scrimmage. I think we can do that this offseason. Running backs also a need. Obviously, we had this whole Joe Mixon issue this year where Mixon was supposed to be the guy. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't done a ton of research into what happened. I don't really know what happened with Joe Mixon this year. He was just a no-show for the team. Woody Marks stepped in, did a fine job. He is a serviceable RB/2. I think we could definitely use a massive upgrade this offseason, especially because Nick Chubb is a free agent. And right now, if the running back room was to stay the same, it would be Woody Marks, maybe Joe Mixon, and Jawar Jordan. But you're probably not keeping Joe Mixon, so you're going to need an upgrade at running back. Interior defensive line, I think this team could just use a disruptor up the middle. Funnily enough, the team is one of the best at stuff in the run and getting after the quarterback, but that's primarily because you have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. At some point, Will Anderson's going to get paid either this year or next year, and Danielle Hunter's getting up there in age. I would like to find a disruptor up the middle, somebody that can get after the quarterback and be a little bit younger. There's also a number of guys this year that are free agents. Sheldon Rankins is a free agent. Tim Settle's a free agent. So they have like 2 or 3 guys that are hitting the free agent market. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then safety, you don't really need a starter. You just need some depth options. There's a number of guys on this team that are going to be hitting the market. So if you can find a starter, or not a starter, a backup piece we'll look into that. So yeah, not a ton of needs. Obviously, you could say quarterback, but we're rocking with CJ Stroud. I think with that said, let's talk about the cap space situation because it's not great, but it could also be a lot worse. They're at negative $14 million in cap space, but through a couple restructures, a couple cuts, and a couple extensions, we can open up a decent bit of cash. Let's have the conversation real quick about the extensions. Starting off with Will Anderson Jr., pay him whatever he wants. He's a total superstar. I'm thinking it's probably going to be a 4-year something, maybe not the top of market, but close to top of market. I know Micah just got paid. I don't think he's making Micah money. He's probably making like just a little bit below Micah and Myles Garrett, or maybe he'll make just as much as Myles Garrett. He's going to get a massive payday, and rightfully so. I also want to extend Henry To'oTo'o. I hope I said that right. I haven't heard much about the idea of extending him, but I think he's such a quality player, and linebackers are not too expensive. I don't know what the deal would be. It could be like a 3-year, $30 million deal. I don't actually have a number set out because there's really not a ton of info on it, but if you can get ahead of that contract now before he has another spectacular year, and then that 10 or 12 or however much it might be ends up being 15 or 20, get the deal done as soon as possible. It opens up a little bit of cap space for the immediate future as well. So we're going to give those guys an extension. Let's talk about CJ Stroud. Are we going to extend him? No, I'm not going to extend CJ Stroud. After what we just saw this year and the continuous regression we're seeing from Stroud, that's a massive concern. He has one more year under his rookie deal, unless there's a 5th-year option. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But Stroud has to prove himself. This Texans team right now, if they had a Josh Allen, if they had a Patrick Mahomes, which I get it, there's only like 3 of those out there, but if they had a top 10 quarterback this year, they might be in this freaking Super Bowl. They might be the favorites this year. But Stroud cost his team in the postseason. He has to play better. If he doesn't play better next year, then I don't know what they're going to do. I trust Stroud. I like Stroud personally. I think he could definitely be the guy. He has to play better. This year and that postseason run was unacceptable from a guy that has so much talent and has shown really good play out there. I'm going to give Stroud one more year to prove himself. Right now, you could maybe extend him for cheap, but if you give him a $30 million deal or $40 million deal, whatever the case might be, and he ends up being the same quarterback he was this year and last year, then the deal is just not going to be worth it. So I trust Stroud. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll figure it out this upcoming season as you build up that offensive line. But he has to show me on the field. He has to show me in the postseason because the Texans are going to be right back in the thick of things next year. And if Stroud does not take us to where we want to be, then yeah, we might need to move on from him, which is a crazy statement to say because just like 3 years ago, Stroud was in top 10 conversations. I mean, it's wild. But yeah, not going to be extending CJ Stroud. Some cuts, these ones are pretty simple. We're going to cut Joe Mixon. That's $8 million in savings. We're going to cut Mario Edwards. That's $4 million in savings. Didn't really do much, either one of those guys. So after those 2 cuts, we're going to restructure a handful of deals. We're going to start off with Nico Collins. That's plus $14 million. We're then going to restructure Derek Stingley. That's plus $15 million. We're also going to restructure Azeez Al-Shaair and Jalen Petrie combined. That's about $12 million between the two. I know it's not ideal to restructure all these guys, but I feel like we have this window open right now that I don't want to lose the window of. So let's go ahead and make sure we get these deals done before we have to potentially pay a starting quarterback. So with all that said, after you cut Joe Mixon and Mario Edwards, you restructure Collins, Stingley, Shaair, and Petrie, and you extend Will Anderson and Henry To'oTo'o, you're looking at approximately $44 to $45 million in open cap space. However, we do have to spend some money on retaining some of these pieces here. So big name guys here, Christian Kirk, Sheldon Rankins, EJ Speed, Derek Barnett's a quality piece here as well. Tommy Townsend, Foley, you can see Ed Ingram, Trent Brown, some big name guys here. So we're going to start off by trying to retain some of the pieces that I would like to retain. Let's start off with Ed Ingram. We're going to give him a 3-year, $36 million deal. Look, is this offensive line good? No, but Ed Ingram was somebody that did a really good job this year, fit into what this team wants to do. We need to build talent around him, but I don't think you want to lose a quality offensive lineman. We saw what happened last year with Laramie Tunsil. He was a quality piece. They let him go. I don't want to make that mistake again by getting rid of a quality player. Ingram returns. We're going to let Trent Brown leave. He's just a little bit older. He's going to be 33 next year. He played really good for us, but I don't want to commit to him long term. We'll bring back Sheldon Rankins on a 1-year, $6 million deal. This team has a number of interior defensive linemen that are free agents. I would like to draft one this year and then let him sit and rotate in with Rankins and then one Rankins leaves after this year, he can step in, that young player. So bring those guys back. And we're also going to bring back our punter, Tommy Townsend, on a 2-year, $5 million deal. That's $2.5 million annually. After that, we went from 44 to 45, kind of around that range. We're looking at about $24-ish million to work with in the free agent market. If a guy like Derek Barnett wants to return for cheap, I'm talking $1 to $4 million a year, we can make that work. But I'm not going to include that in this one. So again, if he wants to return, sweet, we'll bring him back. But we'll see about that. Same with EJ Speed as well. If he wants to return for $1 or $2 million, we can make that work. So after that, again, we're working with about $24-ish million. Let us now go ahead and talk about my free agency plan. Spoiler alert, it's not very long. And we are going to begin by bringing in Isaac Seumalo on a 2-year, $18 million deal. So Isaac Seumalo, this is via PFF. He's 32 years old. He's getting up there in age and probably has 2 or 3 good years left in him. 74.9 overall grade, 78.5 pass blocking grade, and 68.3 run block grade. You can see only 3 sacks allowed this year, 0 penalties. You go back to last year, very similar numbers. And same thing here, this is 2023. This is somebody that can play left guard for us, which would now give us that flexibility with Titus Howard, whether we want to play him at right guard, right tackle, left tackle. I think this is a guy here in Isaac Seumalo that brings that physicality. He's so steady, he's so consistent. He's a guaranteed surefire hit on this offensive line. And I think he brings the identity that we exactly need. So bringing him for $9 million annually gives us that rock steady guard to build around. And again, we have pieces there. So we now have a Titus Howard that can have that flexibility to play on the outside or inside. We have Ed Ingram returning. We still have Ursary as well. We just need to find an upgrade at center and maybe a left tackle, depending on what we want to do with Ursary and Howard and how that all kind of plays out. So bringing in him is not obviously cheap, but I think it's an ideal pickup for a team that could use sort of his mentality. And lastly, we're going to bring Rayshawn Jenkins on a 1-year, $2 million deal. Rayshawn is not a game changer. This is an older player. He's 31 years old, but you can see he still is able to play a little bit. This is our backup guy. He's not going to start for us. We have starters. We just needed some depth pieces, and that's why I brought him in for cheap. But yeah, that's going to complete the free agency. We had $23 to $24 million to work with. We're now down to about $13 to $12 million to work with. So we need to save that money for our draft class because we have multiple second round picks. So with that said, let us now hop into our 3-round mock draft. So as you can see, we are on the PFF mock draft simulator. The Houston Texans are drafting here at number 28, 3 rounds. Let's get into it. And as you can see, we're at pick number 28, and the board fell kind of okay for us here. You can see Caleb Lomu is available. He plays left tackle. We might be able to kick him out at right tackle, depending on what we do with Howard and Ursary, kind of filling out those positions. I think he's a bit of a project guy. I don't know if he's an immediate plug-and-play starter because I just feel like he's a little bit raw as a run blocker. And I don't really love like a Monroe Freeling here. I just don't think he's a first-round talent. I also just can't be picky here either. I have to be able to plug and play a starter. Emmanuel Pregnon, I think, checks a lot of boxes here. Really good pass protector, really good run blocker. Can get downhill, great in zone. I think he could be a nice fit for this team. Jennings Dunker brings sort of that like that blue collar worker mentality, physical, strong. He's a tackle, but I think he kicks inside to play guard. We'll think about Lou and Slaughter probably in round 2, around that 59th to 69th pick. Nice. I'm kind of feeling like I'm gonna go with. I mean, we could take Lomu here and then let him kind of be your swing tackle / starter at left tackle, and then kick Ursary inside or kick Ursary over to right tackle, whichever one works best. Or we just take Pregnon to be kind of our long-term play at left guard and even right guard to a certain extent because injuries will happen. I think Lomu might be a bit more of an important piece here, though. Again, we have Ursary playing left tackle. I thought he was okay in his rookie year. We have Seumalo at left guard. We need to upgrade at center. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Right guard will be Ed Ingram, and then right tackle would probably be Titus Howard kicking out there. But again, if we're not sold on Ursary and if we're not sold on Howard, then I think a guy like a Caleb Lomu could make some sense. I think he's a high upside player that I think is a tackle. Let's take Caleb Lomu here for the Houston Texans. All right, we're back up at 38. Let's look at the running back room. But I do think running back is in play. There is a Price. There is a Coleman here. There is an Emmett Johnson. I know that their rankings here are a little bit lower, but with the way the running back board is set up, there is definitely going to be a chance that there's a run on running backs a little bit before us. So we might want to guarantee one here, but I also don't think that we are in a position where we should just reach on a running back. We can wait till pick 59 and maybe hope that a Coleman, if not Emmett Johnson's, I think is a good prospect, and Katron Allen a bit darker or later down the board. We could double back and go back with Emmanuel Pregnon here to be our long-term play at guard. I mean, going Caleb Lomu then Emmanuel Pregnon I think is sweet. We could go AJ Halsey. I mean, just continue to stack up with talent in the back end. I think that's a bit overkill, to be honest with you. Dunker, I mean, we talked about bringing that physicality in the run game, just a blue-collar worker. I think that's the best way to describe him. If maybe we want more of a receiving threat in Eli Stowers at tight end, I mean, Brevin Jordan has kind of not worked out. I mean, that's a possibility. Ooh, Lee Hunter. I like his game a lot in terms of being a stout run defender and getting after the quarterback a decent bit. The thing is, if I don't take Lee Hunter here, I'm going to be probably taking Ahmad Moten, who I like quite a bit. He's been really good for Miami. But I also question, like, hey, you got to play with Mesidor and Bain. I mean, that's pretty nasty. So, but I feel like Lee Hunter makes a ton of sense here. But I also feel like let's just fix this offensive line first, and then we can, take one of these interior defensive linemen a little bit later. Let's take the offensive line here. Let's make sure that CJ Stroud is protected. Again, Lomu's kind of our long-term play at left tackle. Depending on what happens with Ursary, we might be able to play him out right or kick him inside to play guard. And then Pregnon could be our long-term play at guard. I mean, kind of shoring up this interior of the offensive line. And we have 2 more picks down here, so we could hypothetically go with Pregnon and then a running back and then an interior defensive lineman and feel pretty good. And then, round 5 or 6, you take a safety. So let's take Pregnon, man. I think he's a first-round talent. Let's take him right here. All right, back up at 59 and really perfectly set up here. Ahmad Moten did fall to us, thank God. Unfortunately, Lee Hunter did not, which kind of checks out. Lee Hunter went just a few picks before us at 56. So I think Ahmad Moten makes a ton of sense to take in at that interior defensive line piece. Let's look at safety here. Yeah, I think we'll pass on this one. I think, again, a Genesis Smith, a Michael Taft, a Zakee Wheatley with our 106th pick, I think that could make a ton of sense. Running back, I mean, we could go Jadarian Price. He is totally in play here, but I'm also kind of okay with taking Jonah Coleman at 69. Nice. And feeling okay about that. I think Ahmad Moten is just the biggest of need, but Connor Lew is also here. We did talk about upgrading at center. I kind of wonder if Pregnon maybe could play center. I don't know. That's kind of a wild thought. I mean, could you imagine tackle, guard, and then center? I mean, shoot, you want to shore up your offensive line, injecting some talent in it. Let's get into it. We'll wait on Lou. Let's take Ahmad Moten here, and then if Lou falls to us at 69, I will have a big thought about that. Let's take Ahmad, add some talent into the interior, and here we are at 69, and the board fell exactly that way. Connor Lew is available here. By the way, Elijah Surratt at 67, that is criminal. He is a second-round talent to me. Oh, man, this is absolutely brutal because there's some running backs here that I really like. Coleman, I think, would be such a good fit for Houston and what they want to do. Although I kind of wonder if maybe he's a little bit similar to what we already have with Woody Marks. And I wonder if maybe like a Nick Singleton could be a little bit better for this team because he is that receiving threat and that absolute just speed athletic demon. Same with Damon Claiborne, very, a lot smaller, but man, he can move. Let's go with Connor Lew, man. I'm pumped about this. We got our left tackle, we got our guard, we added defensive interior, and let's take Connor Lew. And then with our picks in the 106, 128, 165, you can take a running back. Running backs are cheap. Let's take Connor Lew here. Let's go, man. Let's go. So here is our mock draft. They gave me an F for the Ahmad Moten pick. I'm not sure about that one. I think that's a good pick right there. But all right, let us go ahead and now summarize what we did in this video. If I get something wrong, I do apologize. I'm doing this live. So at quarterback will be CJ Stroud. At running back will be Woody Marks / Jawar Jordan / I don't know. We drafted him on Claiborne in round 4 or 5. We'll just throw that in there. Receivers will be Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson, and Jalen Knoll. Let's bring those young guys up and elevate them a bit. Tight end will be Dalton Schultz and Kate Stover. Offensive line will be Ursary / Lomu. Guard is going to be Siamalo / Pregnon. Center is going to be Connor Lew / Jake Andrews. Right guard is going to be Ed Ingram. And then right tackle is going to be Titus Howard / Ursary. However you want the offensive line to work. You have a massive talent pool there. Find your best 5 and work with that. Stroud has no excuses. We doubled, and tripled down in the offensive line board this offseason. Defensively, basically the same as last year. Daniil Hunter at edge. Will Anderson at edge with a new contract, by the way. Sheldon Rankin's back up the middle. We also have Ahmad Moten. And then, Tommy is there as well. Linebacker, Henry To'o, Aziz Al-Shaair, and we're probably going to have to draft a linebacker there to replace EJ Speed, but you also have Petrie and guys, or Kalen Bullock, who can work in the box as well. Corners, Stingley, Lassiter, Petrie. I'm interested to see what happens with Jalen Smith this upcoming year because he was drafted pretty high. We didn't get to see a ton of him this year. And then safeties, Kalen Bullock, Jalen Reed, and Jalen Petrie can flex out there as well. So that is my mock off season. You guys let me know in the comment section below. Was this good? Was this bad? Please tell me down below. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I love you guys. Peace.